And she's like, no, I want to see you. We need to experience France at night together. And I was like, okay.
So we're talking earlier about our producer, Jake. Jake, how long were you with our show?
4 years.
4 years. And you started as an intern?
Yeah, I interned for 2 years and then worked here full time for 4.
Yeah, and you still look like you're 4 years old.
Aww. That's great.
It is great. So anyway, Jake always wanted to grow, learn more, do more things. So he left the family to start a new career up the street.
Yeah.
And he's still doing. What are you doing exactly?
I work for this awesome company called Empathy Wines.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm basically doing the same thing that I was doing, but in the wine world.
Like video.
Yeah, creating content.
And now Deanna has taken your spot here.
Yeah, it's very strange.
And she
used to be my intern, and now she's filming me right now.
It's kind of cool, right? We love Deanna. Thank you. You whatever you did with her, it worked well because she's doing such a great job.
Oh, great.
I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, in September when Alex and I got married in Santa Fe, you were dating someone.
Yes.
And even though you knew things were kind of rocky, and she obviously knew things were rocky, she traveled all the way to Santa Fe with you to come to our wedding.
But I only found out that things were rocky the night before your wedding.
Oh, Lord. Oh, now how did she tell you they were rocky?
Okay, it's happened already on the ground in Santa Fe.
No. Before we even left.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
In New Jersey.
What'd she say?
I knew something was awkward, so I finally brought it up because I was tired of feeling this weird feeling. And she was like, yeah, I just don't know if I'm really that into it anymore.
Right.
And I'm like, well, we have a flight at 6 a.m. So this is kind of awkward timing. And
so wait, hold on. So do you think you guilted her into going?
Maybe. I never really thought about it like that.
No, who are you kidding? It was your wedding. Everybody wants to be there.
Well, no.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
I agree with Danielle. Yes, yeah.
Please.
It's easy to say. I don't know. It's easy to say. Come on. We'll talk about this later. We have a plane tomorrow. Let's just drop it and table it in hopes that things will get better.
Right.
And so anyway, you two hopped on a plane the next morning and you flew to Santa Fe.
Yeah. So we talked the whole night, and I thought things were great. Which that was stupid of me. But I thought things were great, and we went to Santa Fe, and we had an incredible weekend. And it was like we got closer than we ever were, and had so much fun, and drank so much tequila, and it was just like an incredible, incredible time. So we flew home, and I was like, wow, this is great. Like things are back to normal. This is going to be something again.
So let me assume something.
Okay.
So while you guys were drinking tequila, having an incredible time at our wedding in Santa Fe,
yes,
you thought we're closer than ever. We are greater than ever. Do you think she was thinking the whole time, oh, this is a great farewell?
Yes.
This is a great goodbye weekend for Jake. Let's have fun, and then I'll say goodbye when we get home.
Definitely.
So what happened?
So we get home, and funny enough, I started my new job the next day at Empathy Wines, plug, and I called her, and things were great, blah, blah, and then that Wednesday, she's like, oh, I really thought about it, and I'm just not into it anymore. And then that's it. She left me. Yep.
Okay.
But you're better off for it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
I wish you would have done it before the wedding.
See, I go back and forth all the time. Do I wish she would have done it before the wedding? Because I legitimately had an incredible weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is my thing. When there's an event that creates permanent pictures that are going to be everywhere, if you are thinking about breaking up with someone, you got to do it before all those pictures get taken.
Really?
And
It's
then they
about
live forever.
pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, because
please.
do you know what happened when the pictures came out and everyone was sending them around? Everybody was sending me pictures of me and this girl.
And now he's sad.
You just cut her out. That's all.
But wait, pictures capture a moment, and she was there during that moment. What's up, Frog?
I don't like it because I feel like your wedding was a really big deal, and there's no way she would have ever gone to that wedding without Jake. And I think she used Jake to go to a cool event.
I think so. Amen, Froggy.
No.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Let's call her.
She would never have gone to that event. I mean, that was an event.
First of all, she had no idea how big that weekend was going to be.
Yes,
And
she did.
Yes, she did.
Yes, she did.
Of course
It
she
was
did.
Elvis Duran's wedding. Give me a break.
Look, I'm not here to defend her, but I am here to say, hey, look, there could be another side, but who cares? It's over.
Right.
It's over.
Yeah.
And then,
the wedding is over and the relationship.
Yeah. But you move on. You're living a great life.
Yeah.
And you're getting courage to go do new and exciting things, which brings us to why you're here today.
Yes.
So this past weekend, I guess Friday?
Yes.
I saw Jake post, I'm doing something crazy I've never done before. And what did you post on your, do you remember what, just paraphrase, what you said?
What did I say? Like, sometimes you have to step outside your comfort zone to really experience adventure.
Right.
And that's exactly what I did.
Right. And so then you announced to the world what you were doing this past weekend, which was what?
I booked a flight to Paris. I found a very cheap flight. I went alone for 48 hours with absolutely no plan.
Nice.
Right.
Wow.
On his post, he says, I'm going alone 48 hours. Have absolutely no plans. All suggestions and solo travel advice, welcome. So have you ever done anything like this before?
Never.
So how much was the flight?
$258
What?
round trip.
Round trip?
To Paris.
Yes,
Did
you
you
know,
get
a
a
flight.
seat?
Yeah, I had a seat. A flight to LA the same weekend was like $350.
Which is cheap too, actually, round trip.
Yeah.
So 250 round trip to Paris, and you did it. And did you have a hotel? What'd you do when you got there?
I had a bunch of Hilton points, so I used them to book hotels. So the entire trip cost me $258.
Well, and not including
Plus-
croissant.
Right.
All right.
All the croissants.
So you're in Paris, and you don't speak French. You know nothing about the city. You have no friends there. So what did you do? Which I think is even more fascinating.
I wanted to live like a local. I didn't want to go for 48 hours and just see the Eiffel Tower and do all the touristy stuff, even though that's, I did that for most of the time. I went on Hinge, the dating app, and I found a girl, and I spent almost the entire weekend with her.
Oh, nice.
And she spoke English, of course.
She spoke English. She'd never been to the U.S. before. I don't know why she agreed to go out with me because it sounds insane. Like, hey, I'm coming to Paris for 48 hours. Do you want to go out with me?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, yeah, sure. And I'm like, what?
So how was it? How was she, first of all, when you first met her? And where did you meet? How did that work?
We met at a coffee shop. So I started out the conversation. I was like, I'm going to be in Paris for 48 hours.
We call that a cafe.
Yeah.
Yes.
I still know no French.
Well, it's cafe.
You only there 48 hours. So.
Cafe. Welcome to French 101. Cafe. Okay, go ahead.
So we met in a cafe, and we had coffee. And that was the only plan that we had. We were going to meet up for coffee. She was giving me recommendations. We were talking about life, whatever. Ended up, we spent 8 hours for the rest of that day together.
Whoa.
And where'd she take you?
We went from Le Café to walked around, I don't even know where we were, somewhere in Paris.
Okay. Sounds great.
And then we went to dinner, which ended up being a 4-hour meal, which was very strange.
No, they take their time.
Yeah, they were not rushing us at all. So we had a meal, and then we walked around, and we ended the night. And I was like, well, do you want to hang out tomorrow? I have no plans. And she's like, yeah, sure.
Oh, Okay, stop there. So what did you observe in this city? You ate some great food, obviously drank some great wine.
Yes.
What did you see? What were the visuals? What were the optics of Paris for you?
It was everywhere that I went. It was like a holy cow moment. And it was weird being alone because I found myself saying like, wow, out loud so many times. And I'm like, oh, I'm alone. This is kind of strange. But it was incredible I never thought in a million years that I would enjoy traveling on my own because I don't like being alone. I like being surrounded by people, and being here for 4 years, you are always surrounded by somebody. You're at work the whole day, and then usually I was with somebody after work, and then on the weekends we were traveling or something, so I'm always surrounded by people.
Right.
And I love that. So this was scary as hell because I was going to a place where I didn't speak a lick of their language and was going to be completely alone. And I spent half the time with this girl, but the other half of the time I was legitimately alone and enjoyed it more than I could have ever possibly imagined.
Now, can you imagine dating someone here in the States and taking her with you to Paris? You would be married by the end of the weekend. It is the most, it's the most romantic city in the world. It's beautiful. The architecture is so historically significant, and the people are dressed so well. And I don't care what they say about Parisians. I know they can be a little rough sometimes, but that's just their nature. They're not trying to be mean. That's just how they live their lives. But the food, the wine, everything.
Oh.
Wow. Are you going to see her again? Is she going to come to the States?
I told her she's got to find a cheap flight, and then I'll be her tour guide.
All right. So on day 2, what did you guys do?
What did we do? I spent half of the day alone doing all the touristy things, Eiffel Tower, whatever. Very touristy. And then we met up at another cafe, and we had hot chocolate and croissants.
Nice.
And
So cute.
then she had to go for dinner. She's like, oh, I'm meeting my friends. And I was like, all right, well, I'm never going to see you again because you have work tomorrow and I'm leaving. And she's like, no, I want to see you. We need to experience France at night together. And I was like, okay. So
It's beautiful, right?
So I went to have a nice meal by myself. It was great. Drank some wine and then met up with her. And we walked around and saw Paris at night and saw the Eiffel Tower light up. And it was so romantic.
Oh, cool.
And
Did you guys kiss underneath the Eiffel Tower?
And then we were making love under the Eiffel Tower, and it was so wonderful.
Oh, that term. Dear God.
Froggy, he's giving you what you need. So,
Did she ever use the term green card with you or no?
So I must say, headline and bottom line is you took the plunge. You got the courage to book this cheap ticket, hop on a plane by yourself, and fly to a city in a foreign country that you've heard of, had no idea what you were doing. And so how do you rate your experience, the whole thing?
11 out of 10.
Whoa.
Wow.
There were a few scary moments. I'm not going to lie. When I first got there, I was supposed to go exploring. I literally took just a backpack.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's all you need.
I've never done that before.
That's the best way to travel.
It was incredible. So I was just going to walk around before I met this girl, but then I was like, oh, I'm going to bring my stuff back to the hotel. So I went back to the hotel from the airport. Google Maps led me into a cemetery. It's like, walk through the cemetery, and then your hotel's like 3 minutes away. So,
right.
Whatever. I walk through the cemetery, get to the back of this cemetery where it's getting dark, and there's absolutely nobody there, and there's no exit. And I was like, oh, man, this is real sketchy. I'm completely alone in the middle of a cemetery, and I have no idea where I am.
A Paris cemetery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dead Parisians.
But I ended up back at my hotel, totally safe. And, I learned from it. Don't trust Google Maps.
That is so cool. So what is your advice for anyone and everyone?
Use Hinge.
Okay, no, beyond that. as far as creeping out of your comfort zone.
So I wish that the things I would have wished I'd done differently, that wasn't English, research where I was staying more. I wasn't staying in the best area. It wasn't bad, it was just kind of far from everything.
Right.
So being alone, it would have been nicer to be able to walk out of my hotel and have something right there, if you get bored or whatever. Just totally disconnecting was so freeing. It was just this experience that I'd never had felt before. I spend time alone in my apartment or wherever after work, but being somewhere where you're experiencing all new things and you're doing it without somebody else there, so strange, but so incredible.
Wow. So your advice is...
cool.
My advice is do it.
Just
absolutely do it.
I think that's awesome. Good
Can
for
I
you.
see a picture of the girl?
Oh, yeah, sure.
And going in with no plan, I was kind of nervous about, but I read up. Oh, also, I would strongly suggest reading up on wherever you're going's culture. Because I was afraid that I was going to offend somebody or, say something that, like,
it's hard to offend the French.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
But it was great.
Not easily offended.
The advice I read online was greet everybody in French.
Bonjour.
And then ask if they speak English, which
Bonsoir.
is what I did.
Right.
And it was great. Everybody was very friendly. Most people spoke English. They didn't like to, but, most people did.
They don't mind. They would rather speak English than you struggle at French because they just want to get through a line with you. Like if you go to check out somewhere, if you want to order in French, they would go, oh, so you want the hamburger?
Yeah.
Because it makes their day go faster.
Right.
Anyway, I'm just thinking, I think it's awesome. Now, the opposite of Jake is Scary.
Yeah.
Scary would never do this in a million years.
Well, first of all, I'm in awe of you, Jake, and I give you all the credit in the world.
Thank you.
You're talking to a person who can't even go to a tropical location and lay out on a lounge chair.
He can't even go to a movie in New York by himself.
by myself.
I mean, he can't.
I will sooner sit in my hotel room than sit outside and be exposed to the public. But my question to you, no, really, but my question to you is because I always feel like people are looking at me, But how did you do this knowing that there could be a language barrier? Like, did you think ahead or you just did it? Because I'm an overthinker, and that's most of my problem.
Well, it's same. That's why I feel like you and I are very similar. I also hate being alone. But that's why I went in with no plan, because it forced me to not overthink. I just figured it out as I went along. And
you can.
Right.
You could go to almost any major city in the world, and if you only speak English, you can figure it out.
Right.
Trust me on that. You can.
So
you'll be fine.
It was. I'm very, very, very happy that I did it, and it still terrifies me that I did.
Oh, oui.
When's the wedding?
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for coming in and sharing your story, and
Thank you.
I hope that is inspiration for anyone and everyone listening to us, and even if me, you, everyone, where your comfort zones are. Step out of it.
Right.
Be a little scared. Be a little excited.
That was the biggest thing.
I think it's awesome.
That's awesome.
Stepping outside your comfort zone.
It's Jake, everyone.
Thank you.
He used to be our video producer. Now he's back down to intern Jake. Empathy Wines. Give it a plug.
Thank you.
Empathywines.com. Thank you. We love you, Jake.